what the Democrats tell you. Mitt Romney, though, not even going to lie, fam, he's about to pluck my last nerve. You know what I'm saying? Mitt Romney, not a good guy. Not a good guy. And I'm going to play the rest of the cuts from what he said today. I'm going to eviscerate him to the best of my ability, and then we will take your calls at 877-381-3811. All right, going back to Mitt's pitiful attempt to explain voting against the president, one of the articles of impeachment today. Cut 46, go.
President's counsel also notes that Vice President Biden appeared to have a conflict of interest when he undertook an effort to remove the Ukrainian prosecutor general.
Appeared. The president's counsel said that Vice President Biden appeared to have a conflict of interest. Wow. I never thought I would nominate Mitt Romney for a Nobel Prize, but I think I'm going to nominate Mitt for a Nobel Prize for understatement. And let me tell you something. There was pretty stiff competition for this Nobel Prize for understatement until Mitt Romney said that. Now I think he's head and shoulders above everybody. Biden appeared to have a conflict of interest trying to get the prosecutor general of Ukraine, who wanted to look into this very, very corrupt company, allegedly, that Joe Biden's son, Hunter, was getting $1 million a year from, what we hear. That's an apparent conflict of interest. Man, I'll tell you what, man, I appreciate you giving Joe some leeway there. All right, Mitt Romney, cut number 47, go.
If he knew of the exorbitant compensation his son was receiving from a company actually under investigation, the vice president should have recused himself. While ignoring a conflict of interest is not a crime, it is surely very wrong. With regards to Hunter Biden, taking excessive advantage of his father's name is unsavory, but also not a crime. Given that in neither the case of the father nor the son was any evidence presented by the president's counsel that a crime had been committed, the president's insistence that they be investigated by the Ukrainians is hard to explain other than as a political pursuit.
Okay. Hunter was on the board of MBNA when the big bank there, when Joe Biden was pushing legislation they wanted in the Senate. He was on the board of Amtrak shortly after he got out of law school, right? On the board of Burisma, although he had no experience with energy or Ukraine or anything. But, of course, Mitt says, well, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, obviously there's no crime there. I mean, what are you kidding me? Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, there couldn't be any crime there. I mean, no, this has got to be political. According to Mitt Romney, this has to be political. I mean, because he can't imagine there was any crime there and certainly doesn't want anybody investigating that. Now, did anybody who ever worked for Mitt have anything to do with Ukraine or Burisma or anything? I'm trying to remember that. Maybe somebody help me out with that. More coming up. Mitt Romney's pathetic display today. I'm Doc Washburn, filling in for the great one on the Mark Levin Show.
You've heard me talk about the 4 pillars of education at Hillsdale College. Now, these 4 pillars or purposes, learning, character, faith, and freedom, have defined Hillsdale's mission since 1844. I'd like to focus on the first pillar, learning. Hillsdale understands, as America's founders did, that a proper education is essential to preserving free government. Among other things, young people must be taught about America's great heritage of liberty. They must be taught about how government works and the importance of the Constitution. And they must develop the skills to become useful citizens and the virtues required for self-government. Because so many high schools, colleges, and universities fall short in these areas today, Hillsdale has expanded its mission nationwide. For example, through its free online courses, its free monthly speech digest and Primus, and the classical K through 12 charter schools it's helping to found coast to coast. Discover how you and your children can learn from Hillsdale College, too. Go to levinforhillsdale.com.
The cost of freedom is high. But this phone call is not. Call Mark Levin toll-free at 877-381-3811.
Hey, this is Doc Washburn filling in for the great one on an historic night. Today was the day that President Trump, no matter what the Democrats want to tell you, was forever acquitted of 2 unconstitutional articles of impeachment in a process that has been a sham from day one. And day one, by the way, was before the president was even inaugurated. And there's plenty out there about that. Now, just outraged at Willard. Do you mind if I call him by his real name, Willard Romney? Outraged at Mittens for going out there and acting like he had a peak of conscience. His conscience said, I can't vote against the one article of impeachment, but I'm going to have to vote to convict. And you know how much I love President Trump. I'm Willard Mitt Romney from Utah, but I can't. No, I know he doesn't sound like that. I was just having fun. Anyway, so what we're doing right now is roasting Mitt. Mittens roasting on an open fire. Anyway, metaphorically. Anyway, let's go with from his ridiculous announcement today, cut number 48, go.
There's no question in my mind that were their names not Biden, the president would never have done what he did.
Oh, I see. So, Mitt, we got to give you the benefit of the doubt that you're doing this in good faith. We got to give you and all the Democrats benefit of the doubt that you all are following your conscience. But you got no doubt. You got no doubt that Donald J. Trump was so worried about a guy named Biden who can hardly put a sentence together, about a guy named Biden who is in 4th place in the Iowa caucus there with 71% of the vote out. Yeah, he was so worried about Biden that he's going to risk being impeached in a totally harmless call with the president of Ukraine. Mitt, I got to tell you, boy, I don't know what color the sky is in the world you live in, Mitt. But I just want to know, do the ponies speak French in your world? All right, let's see. Mitt Romney's pathetic explanation for voting against the president, the Constitution, and you and me, Americans today. Cut number 49, go.
The defense argues that the Senate should leave the impeachment decision to the voters. While that logic is appealing to our democratic instincts, it is inconsistent with the Constitution's requirement that the Senate, not the voters, try the president. Hamilton explained that the founders' decision to invest senators with this obligation rather than leave it to the voters was intended to minimize, to the extent possible, the partisan sentiments of the public at large.
Really? So Hamilton and everybody else who wrote the Federalist Papers weren't at all concerned about the possibility of partisan sentiments of members of Congress wanting to take out a president because of policy disagreements? I seem to recall, Mitt, that the president's attorneys quoted some different parts of the writings of our founders than you just did. Okay? I mean, that's number one. Number two, none of the witnesses that the Democrats brought forth in the House were able to bolster their case that the president did anything wrong. You know, there's something called Occam's razor, and what it means is usually the most reasonable explanation for something is the correct explanation. The most reasonable explanation to me of what Mitt is doing is he just hates Trump. He's part of the Orange Man bad cult. Unbelievable. All right, Mitt Romney, cut 50, go.
So the verdict is ours to render under our Constitution. The people will judge us for how well and faithfully we fulfill our duty. The grave question the Constitution tasks senators to answer is whether the president committed an act so extreme and egregious that it rises to the level of a high crime and misdemeanor.
And you know he didn't. You know he didn't. You know, it reminds me of the old story, the joke about the mother going to see her son when they're doing the ceremony. He's getting out of boot camp, and everybody's marching, marching in formation. And she's wondering, since her son is marching one way and 150 guys marching the other way, wondering why the 150 guys are marching the wrong direction. Because little Johnny, of course, would not march in the wrong direction. But Mitt clearly is. Cut 51, go.
The president asked a foreign government to investigate his political rival.
Nope. No. As a matter of fact, Rudy Giuliani was investigating Biden before Biden said, I'm going to run for president. That's number one. Number two, just like in the USA, when the wrong guy won, Trump, because the elites, the permanent class, wanted Hillary. Just like in the USA, when the wrong guy won, in the Ukraine, the wrong guy won, Zelensky. The actual reformer, the actual guy who wanted to clean up the corruption. So what happened? 4 days after Zelensky won the election for president, Biden announced he's going to run for president. And Hunter Biden, the same day, said, hey, I'm resigning from the board of Burisma. Mitt, you're not this stupid, but you think we are. I mean, the president wanted Ukraine to investigate his political rival. Yeah, because there was no corruption, right, Mitt? I mean, there's no corruption whatsoever. You know, I saw that ABC TV interview with Hunter a couple of months ago. Amy, what's her name? Amy Robach? Would you have gotten on this board, or any board, if your last name wasn't Biden? Well, I don't know. Probably not. Yeah, no corruption, Mitt. No corruption. Unfreaking believable. Will the voters in Utah remember this 4.5 years from now? Because there's no law in Utah saying you can recall a U.S. senator, number one. And number two, Romney's not for re-election until 2024. But I digress. Such is my wont. Mitt Romney, patheticness today. Is that a word? Patheticness? Patheticity. Yeah, I like that. Cut number 52, go.
The president withheld vital military funds from that government to press it to do so.
Fact check, no. No, that's not true, and you know it's not true. The record reflects the Ukrainians had no idea the military aid was being withheld. The record reflects that unlike under Obama, who refused to give Ukraine military aid when Russia was attacking, invading eastern Ukraine, President Trump actually gave him the Javelin missiles. Did Mitt have an attack of conscience? Did he stick up for the Ukrainians when Obama was refusing the military aid? I don't recall anything. Maybe I missed it. All right, Mitt Romney trying to justify the unjustifiable today, voting to convict the president on one of the articles of impeachment. Cut number 53, go.
The president delayed funds for an American ally at war with Russian invaders.
Again, right, President Obama. President Trump got them the military aid in the designated time legally required by Congress. Outrageous, Willard. Well, Willard, you don't mind if I call you Willard, do you? I know Mitt's the nickname. All right, cut number 54.